So you may be wondering why I have this mask on my head. And trust me, this was like down by my eyes and everything. And I had this whole idea of doing a video about being your own hero, how it is so super important that when you are going out into the world, that you have a harm reduction plan that's in place. You have to these days. Like I said, I had this whole plan for be your own hero. And it launched into a conversation with my son about putting Narcan in his bag to go to middle school. And I can honestly say he freaked out. He did. He said, "Why do I need this in middle school? What are you talking about? I go to a private school. It's a good school. They're good people. This doesn't make any sense. I thought that it only happened in these areas. I thought that it only happened to these people." So, as much as it's important to me to decrease the stigma around drug use, to decrease the idea that this only happens to certain people in certain socioeconomic backgrounds, that it only happens to certain people in certain communities, it only happens to people over there. This is a conversation I had to have with my own son about the fact that drug use can happen anywhere and it can happen to anyone, and you have to be vigilant, you have to be prepared. And he got scared. He really did. And that surprised me. I don't know if it should have, but it did. So what you're going to see next is the conversation that we had, because we started by, doing this video together and talking about being your own hero. He had a mask on, I had a mask on, it looks like the thumbnail. We had this whole thing planned out, and it ended up being something very different. So I want you to see this conversation that I had with my own kid about drugs, drug use, and the things that are scary to an 11-year-old when you're having a conversation about people dying, about the choices that they make about drug use, about how this can affect the people that he could know, the people that he could see every day. And I want to keep all of this for parents, for people who don't think that they need to have these conversations with their kids as young as they are, because this is a scary conversation to have, but it is so necessary for you to have with your kids, for you to have anybody who's a parent or parenting, because you do not want them to walk into this world blind. You want them to be aware. You want them to be armed. You want them to be informed. There's going to need to be follow-up so that he feels okay. But there's also an opportunity for the both of us to go and do some education at his school, to do some education with his own peers about drug use and how dangerous it is, and how it's scaring him, and how it's scaring me, how it's scaring all of us. So this was a hard one. Hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a parent now that you're raising kids in the opioid age. But I really hope that people see this, and they see how important it is to have these conversations with your kids. Why are you worried?
I'm worried about if I don't want to be in a school where people are vaping. I don't want to be in a school where people are doing drugs. I don't want to be in that school.
I understand. I do.
If there is a drug incident, I do not want to be in that school anymore.
Okay. I understand that you're feeling like, I understand that you don't want to be around anyone or anything that has to do with drugs. We've had numerous conversations about this, and I know that it you're scared of it
Yes.
in a way that I am too.
Yes. It seems And it seems to happen at the richest of the richest private schools.
But that's not true. That's not true. The truth of the matter is, this is happening to a lot of people in a lot of different areas.
Different areas, including schools.
Including schools.
This happens in the rich of the rich. I only thought that happened down here at like public schools.
I understand. And this
And
is,
it scares me that it's up here.
it should scare you that it's not just up here and down here. It's everywhere. I don't want you to walk out here thinking that drugs only happen to a certain type of person. That is what keeps everybody thinking that it only is in this area over here. It only belongs to this neighborhood, or this type of person, or this anything that's away from you. And I know that this is scary. I know it's a scary topic for me to bring up with you right now, especially as we're talking about going to middle school next week. I'm not saying that this drug use is happening in your school.
But you said that I had to carry Narcan if it happens.
Yes.
If, meaning that it could happen.
Meaning that it could happen.
Which is why I'm scared.
But the truth is, it could happen anywhere. So let's look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. I'm trying to think of the right scenario. There are people, I know, baby, I know. There are people who carry aspirin in their bags in case they get a headache. We have Band-Aids in our medicine cabinet in case
we get cut.
Correct. In case you get cut. At locations all around the world, there are these things called AED machines, and they are a defibrillator just in case somebody's having a heart attack. You can shock, where the thing that goes clear, and they shock you.
Oh yeah, that like put it up to 200,
clear, and then they shock you, so that shocks your heart back to working.
Yes, but the cuts and the headaches, those are two common things to happen. But it makes you wonder, how common is drug use around schools? That makes me scared because it's very common, and around schools, especially like middle school up to high school, is where drugs usually go. I'm scared.
It's a scary topic, and I can honestly say that as a parent, it's not a conversation that is easy for me to have with you. But if I don't have it and something happens, then I would feel even worse. I would feel even worse than if we never had the conversation at all.
Yes, but since we did have the conversation and somebody tries to get me involved with drugs, nothing would happen.
What do you mean nothing would happen?
I wouldn't get involved.
I know you wouldn't. I know.
Also, they wouldn't try again.
You don't know that either.
I don't know that either.
Being a middle schooler is hard, babe. It is. And this is a hard conversation. It's a scary conversation, but it's like when you're learning how to drive a car. One of the things that happens when you learn how to drive a car is you go through driver's ed. And they tell you all the things that could happen if you're not paying attention when you're driving the car. So they show you these different scenarios. They take you through crashes. They take you through, it's a part of the learning, so that you are ever more vigilant. You are ever more careful All I'm trying to do is teach you how to be careful. I'm not saying that drug use is happening at your school. I don't know. I haven't seen it. However,
I also haven't seen
you also haven't seen it, and that's okay.
Yeah, which is why now that you're having a conversation about it, makes me scared, makes me worried that it's going to happen.
But honey, all right, so what if it doesn't happen at your school? What if it happens? What if it doesn't happen at your school, but it happens at your high school? What if it happens when you go to college? The point is, it's going to happen. You're going to see either someone who's taking drugs or someone who's offering you drugs, or there's some drug use around you.
Yeah, but it I don't want it to happen when I go to school, but it's probably going to.
Babe, babe, babe. I don't want you to think less of your school. And I don't want you to not see the great things that happen at the wonderful school that we've chosen for you. I want you to understand. I don't want you to be sad. What I want you to understand is that this is all part of human nature. Curiosity is a part of human nature. Okay, there are going to be people, not you, but there are going to be people who are curious about drug use. There are going to be people who are addicted to it, and they may want to offer you some. All I'm saying is that when you walk out there, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared.
Yes, but this makes me think of what Narcan can do. It won't save your, it will save your life,
It will save your life.
but it won't save your brain. If somebody takes Narcan, they could go back to drugs.
Yeah.
They could die.
Yeah, they could. They could. And that's a choice that they're making.
That makes me think, if one of my friends takes drugs, I use the Narcan and it works, but they go back to drugs, it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense, honey, but it's also something that we can't control in other people.
We can't control it. And we can't control what they do. We can't control we can't control other people.
No, we can't.
And that makes me think about, what happens and what could happen.
However, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Before we go down the spiral of not being able to control other people, I want you to think about it in this other way. I want you to think about it in another way. What if you, with all the knowledge that you have about Narcan, about test strips and drug use, all the things that we've talked about, what if you were able to be the hero at your school and you started talking to the administration, the other students about why not to choose drugs?
Yes, but why would I just pull that out of somewhere when it hasn't happened?
Because it can happen.
That makes me nervous.
I know, but
But people could ignore me. People could not listen to me.
well, I mean, we're doing these videos. People could not listen to us either. But there are people. No, 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 no. Hold on. Hold on. We are a glass half full kind of family. And we have to focus on the people who do listen. We have to pay attention to the people who do. There's always going to be people who don't listen to you. There are always going to be people who are going to be like, who cares what he's saying? And I'm saying that there are always going to be people who will be like, look at that kid. He is really, really passionate about the fact that he doesn't want people to use drugs. And this is why. Let me listen to him. Somebody watching this right now, somebody watching this video right now is going to be so affected by the fact that you are upset about this. And by you saying, hey, I'm going to go to my school and I'm going to talk to the administrator, and I will go with you. We'll do this together. I'm going to talk to my administration, and we're going to have conversations with parents. We're going to have conversations with other students. We're going to have conversations with the staff so they know how to use naloxone. They understand that test strips are important. And most importantly, we're going to talk to them about why they shouldn't use drugs at all.
But I feel like they should know that.
But they don't always know that.
They don't always, and that worries me.
But if you're the one to tell them, isn't that a good thing? If you're the one to tell them, if you're the one to empower them, just like you didn't know about this before we started talking about it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What if I don't see it and they die?
You can't control that, baby.
That would be the reason for me to leave. I would feel guilty that I didn't save the person. And you can't save everyone.
You can't save everyone, but you can give people the tools that they need to either save themselves or for someone else to be aware and help them. That's what we can do. That's what we can do. That's the reason that we're doing these videos. That's the reason that we're talking to people about naloxone and test strips, is because we can't save everybody, but somebody is going to listen. Somebody is going to see this. Somebody is going to pay attention.
But it's not always.
That's okay. You do what you can. You don't have to save everybody, but you do what you can to just save one person. And that one person is going to save another person, and then is going to go on and save another person.
That wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would. But there's also an opportunity that it wouldn't.
So is it better to not do anything?
No.
It's better to do something,
It's
right?
better to do something.
It's better to do something. That is what's important. It's better to do something. And in that, you're the hero. You did something. You didn't just sit around and think about it or worry about it or get concerned about it. You did something. You took Narcan in your bag. You told somebody about it. You made a video. You had a conversation. If you saw something, you did something. That is the step that you take to save a life. That is what we're here to do.
What if I see someone and I freeze up and I can't do anything?
You can't do anything about that until that happens. You're not a freezer upper kind of kid.
That's not true.
Okay. If you think that that's not true, I completely understand.
It could be true in some instances. It could be true, but seeing someone
I know the whole idea of it freaks you out. I know it does. I know it does. And I know that this is hard to even think about, to even contemplate the idea of death, the thing that scares me the most about drugs is the idea that someone loses control and eventually dies and could possibly die, because there are people who take drugs and choose another way, baby. There are people who choose to get better from it. And again, it's so hard to be a parent sometimes, because you have to let go of the idea that you can be the person who saves your own child. All you can do as a parent is think that you can give your kids the knowledge and the information that they need to go out into the world and make the right choices. That's all you can do. And that's all we're talking about right now. That's all we're talking about right now is giving people the knowledge and the education and the information to empower them to make the right choices. That's all we can do. Okay. That's all we can do.